there. Yes, you get to see my lovely face tonight. Many of you out there have not seen my face because for a while I was staying off camera because I didn't want to focus on me, just want to focus on the background and what we're really talking about. But I figured for the new year, what the heck? It's great to see everybody out there in the chat. Too many names to mention, but Bryden's out there, Barbara, Carla, Sanyu, Shelly, a whole bunch of other people. Wolfpack is out there. Flurg, I just love that name. It's cool. Flurg. Yes, Flurg is out there, and a whole bunch of others in the chat. Glad that you were here tonight. We have some crazy, crazy stuff to bring you tonight. Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable. This teacher, Alyssa McCommon, oh man, I can't even say the R word because of YouTube, but you know what happened. 12 years old in the home. And your first question might be, is that even possible? Like, is that even possible, right? Seashell, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Glad to see you. And I'm thinking, can a 12-year-old make a baby? Like, I mean, is this like a common thing? And apparently it's very rare. And considering a woman has, I believe, 3 days that, like in a month, that they could get pregnant, that indicates that this child and this teacher had interactions on tons of occasions in order for this to happen. And it's absolutely unbelievable. This child will be scarred for life. I mean, what this child's already going through, already lost, like the child, the state took away the baby from the teacher. And so he's already not going to know his child. So it's absolutely crazy, like this story. But we're going to look into this later on. Also, we have a 12-year-old girl sent her address to like a 38-year-old guy on Roblox. Kid you not. And the guy shows up at the house expecting to play with this girl. No joke. Now, of course, the mom was home, thank God, and came to the door. But wait till you hear this. This story is absolutely crazy, but it goes to show you Roblox again, man. Roblox even allows video now, video chat. You can send images back and forth, complete strangers and kids. Roblox is super dangerous, and we're going to talk about that story in a little bit as well. Also, a boy, like a 6-year-old boy, was kidnapped right off the street. I mean, just unbelievable. Guy comes up, starts talking to the kid, convinces the kid to go with him. Thank God he was recovered. But this goes to show you how fast this can happen. We're going to look into that story as well. Also, the dark side of social media. What? And we're not just talking about predators here, okay? We're talking about what social media and the addiction to devices is doing to kids. Wait till you see this clip that we have to show you. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And there's a dad that went off on a school board. You got to love those. I mean, listen, when parents have had enough, okay, and they go to these school boards and they're like, look, enough with the pornography in the freaking libraries, enough with men going into girls' bathrooms or boys going into girls' bathrooms. And again, this isn't going to be about LGBT. Okay, this is just about safety, right? So we're going to look into that. And this guy goes off on the school board, and we got to hand it to him because he said it very, very well. He did it very, very well. So, Kathy, welcome to the chat. Good to see you out there. Carla, Bryden, Seashell, everybody else. Glad you guys are here tonight. Hopefully you can hear me well. Again, new setup tonight. Got me on the camera, so the camera is now a little further away. Hopefully the sound is good, and we're coming through clear. Hopefully, that's the hope anyway. But you never know. So, all right, I want to tell you about protectyourchildren.org. Protectyourchildren.org is our website. Tons of great resources, people. Education, awareness. Okay, we have an in-depth protection packet. You hear me talk about it each week. We're going to keep talking about it. Why? Because this protection packet of guidelines, detailed protection guidelines, is definitely a need for you to go over with your children. These guidelines will tell kids how to be safe from predators, how to spot the warning signs of predators online and in the community, the personality traits of PDF files, if you want, we call them that, and how to avoid kidnapping. There's just a whole bunch of great stuff in the in-depth protection packet protectyourchildren.org. Click on the in-depth protection packet, print it, download it, sleep with it next to your bed, whatever, just share it with your kids, make copies, leave it out at work, in the lunchroom, do something, right? Get this protection information out to people. Doesn't cost you anything to share that. So definitely check that out. All our live shows and podcasts are available on the website as well. How to keep your kids safe from kidnapping, all sorts of stuff. Background checks we do for free, by the way, local, state, and national. We do free background checks to check for arrests for sexual crimes and other criminal histories. We do not need a social security number. That's the number one question we get asked, but we just need a few other bits and pieces of information, and we can locate a criminal background for you and get that information to you. Confidential, of course. So we will do that for you and a whole bunch of other stuff on our website, protectyourchildren.org. All right. Awesome. All right, let me jump into something. We usually do a Hero Kids segment, but this week I want to highlight some parents and kids that found themselves in scary situations. And we say that they're heroes. Number one, because we have a situation where a parent taught their kid ahead of time about stranger danger and about what to do if somebody approaches them. We have another parent that taught a kid what to do if somebody starts following them, okay, how they can stay safe. And we want to highlight these parents and these kids for doing the right thing when they sensed that danger was around them. And this also serves as a reminder that, man, there is some crazy stuff that happens out there to our kids. And if your kids are walking alone to school or they're walking alone to a friend's house, man, they are like a prime target. And they need to know what to do in a situation. If somebody approaches them, car pulls up to them, they need to know the lies, the tricks, the traps, all that stuff. You got to talk to your kids about that so that they are aware. So we're going to bring you that actually right now. And there's just some kids that found themselves in some scary situations, but this is very powerful stuff. So let's watch this and we will be right back.
These kids were smart enough to ask for help. In 2018, 7-year-old Emmy McCardell was sunbathing outside her home in Salt Lake City when a car pulled up and greeted her. He asked her a suspicious question.
No.
Emmy knew just what to do: yell no and run into her home.
I believe that he was looking for a child to take. She came running in and said, "Hey, there's a tricky guy outside that tried to get me."
I didn't want to go with him because he looked like a tricky man, and I didn't know him, so I didn't want to go with him.
No. You can hear him ask if she wants a bicycle, and she says no.
Michelle says she taught her 2 kids from an early age about stranger danger.
Never go with a tricky person because they try and take you to a bad place.
I'm so grateful that she knew what to do.
In November of 2022, a little boy sensed danger and went to a local business for help. Sammy Green was walking home from school and was approached by a stranger.
I guess she was harassing him on the way home and saying that she knew his family and she would take him to the Wawa to get some candy and kind of to stick with her. So I know something internally did not feel good to him, and he came right into Danny B. Funky.
Sammy was a regular at the gift shop, so an employee named Hannah handled the situation.
I mean, he was just so cute, but he walked right in the door, and the woman actually held the door open for him, kind of waiting for him to come back outside or see what he was kind of doing. And he came right around the counter and whispered in Hannah's ear and said, will you pretend to be my mom?
Hannah went to talk to the woman, but she took off. She locked the door and alerted her boss as to what happened.
Sam has been an inspiration. I've been getting messages from other parents in other states, and they're saying, oh my God, it opens up, it's a conversation starter for parents and children. And what would you do in this situation?
The woman was identified by police and was referred for mental health treatment.
I don't want this to shed, negative light on Pottstown. Like I said, I do think that this was an isolated issue, and they're going to get the woman the help and the care that she needs.
In 2022, after this child got lost, he approached this home desperate for somebody to help him.
Fuck off. What happened?
The 7-year-old was dropped off at the wrong bus stop in Omaha, Nebraska, and didn't know his way home.
But I don't want my mom to worry about me.
Quincy had no idea how to find his house, but the smart little boy did recognize the home of his friend Max, so he rang the doorbell.
That's his mom. My brother just left me out here.
Incredibly, Max's mom had just returned home 2 minutes earlier.
He thought he was going to be lost forever, is what he kept saying. He thought he was never going to find his parents. He thought he was never coming home.
Come in. Oh, come on, okay?
I told him that was not my stop. So then he opened the door and then he said, "Get out."
Mom Michaela was outraged.
Quincy is probably one of the sweetest, most caring and loving kids. So it's like, to be treated like that by an adult just infuriated me. There's a busy intersection directly behind the neighborhood. Anything could have happened.
They couldn't be more grateful for Good Samaritan Madison, aka Max's mom.
It's just the right place, right time situation.
I owe you everything.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindle.
Wow. Unbelievable. And these kids knew what to do. And they knew when danger was there, what they needed to do, how to stay safe. And we think that's amazing. But that's some scary situations there. I mean, first of all, I hope that school system got sued and the bus driver got fired, because a 7-year-old, he says it's not my stop, and they tell him to get out and walk. Like, are you nuts? But hey, the world is full of some crazy people out there. So, but thank God they knew exactly what to do. And that first mom talking to that girl, talk to her kids about tricky people. That's really, really good, because it's all about the tricks, right? It's all about the, hey, I got something free for you. Hey, I'll buy you some candy. Hey, I know your mom. She sent me to come talk to you. All those tricks that they use. And it sounds like that mom had taught both of her kids about people like that. And the little girl knew exactly what to do. And those are the parents that are heroes, right? And the kids are safe because of what the parents taught. So pretty awesome going on there. So, oh, this is good. Sonia was saying that my dad gave me a safe word to ask in case someone ever tried to pick me up to make sure they weren't lying. Excellent. That is great. And that is one thing we encourage all families to do, just on a practical level. Like, there should always be a safe word, like a code word that the person would have to know, because if your parents sent somebody to come pick you up, they're going to say, hey, you're going to need to know this word, right? And if somebody doesn't know that word, your kids are not to go with them. So that's an awesome thing. Sonia, thank you for sharing that, because that is so important to do, just on a practical level, and yeah, no doubt. Tracy, servant to Christ in the chat. Yep. Don't, it's candy or a puppy. When an adult wants you to come closer with anything, you come and get one of us first. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because this stuff really does happen, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this just happens, and these kids need to know exactly what to do in situations like that. So make sure you have those conversations with them so they know how to be safe with crazy, tricky people, as the other parent called it. So, all right, let's take a look at the dark side of social media. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but we wanted to point this out. Not only, and there's a whole separate show that could be done on this, but because of the fact that Protect Your Children, our mission is to educate and raise awareness and protect kids from predators online and in the community, we're going to connect this social media addiction with these kids to sexual predators. Because when you have kids that are addicted to their iPads and addicted to their video games, and you're going to see like some seriously addicted kids here, okay? That means that they are so open for predators, okay? And for people to solicit them online for all sorts of inappropriate stuff, drugs, suicide, all that stuff. When these kids are spending that much time online, and there's also something very addictive about it. And I wanted to share this with you, and you can see just what social media can do to some kids. And the fact that these iPads and these game systems, they're almost being used as tech sitters, right? Tech sitters. They should make that a word, tech sitters, right? The tech is babysitting the kid. So it's a tech sitter. But look what it does to some of these kids when you try to remove it. It's absolutely crazy. But let's check this out.
Have you ever seen a child react like this after a phone or tablet was taken away from them?
What? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
No, not right now. Mama, I'll bring the iPad back later, okay?
He's just always in his own world. He really quiet for real, unless he know you.
Kids who were born at the same time as the iPad in 2010. Kids who at 8 years old already had their first phone. And they're the only humans in the history of the world to have grown up with a gadget as a babysitter.
Mama, I'll bring it back, okay?
I mean, some of these kids haven't even experienced what it's like to get dirty and play outside with neighbors. They literally cannot comprehend a life without social media.
Is that nuts or what? Man. Exactly. They would never, man, if my child started acting like that, they would never get that thing back. That's what Shelly was saying in the chat. Oh, heck no, they never get it back. But this is what happens. Like these kids, you saw that one boy. In fact, maybe we'll look at it again. You see the one boy, and he's got the iPad going on here. He's got the phone over here, and he's trying to do both, man. It's like a drug. And they're trying to get themselves so immersed in the technology that they're like escaping from reality here, and it becomes like an addiction, right? And when kids are that addicted to these technology items, man, and if you don't think that PDF files know this, they know how to spot a kid who's spending way too much time online, way too much time playing a game. They know how to spot kids whose parents are obviously letting them spend hours and hours and hours and hours online. So they know they're not being supervised or checked in on, right? And that's a two-pronged situation, but it is definitely an addiction. And the guy, made a great point that this generation is the first generation that's growing up with these devices. And it's like their imagination is gone. We work with kids all the time, and I'll tell you something, like, it's like if they're sitting at home, they don't know what to do. It's like they walk in the door and the first thing they do is sit down and jump on their phone, sit down and jump on the game system. Like, it's like if they don't have those two things, they can't think of anything else to do. It's like, where'd their imagination go? What about their creativity? What about going outside to play? God, when we were kids, man, we went outside, we played manhunt, we built forts, we built bridges over the river, we went fishing, we just did all this creative stuff. We made bike ramps, jumping, with our bikes, all sorts of great stuff. But what's happening now is the social media is doing all the thinking for the kids. Like, they don't even have to think for themselves anymore. It's like they just watch everybody else 24/7. And then they learn from what they're looking at. And then you see what happens when they try to take these devices away from these kids. They flip out. They have meltdowns. Like their brain can't adjust to life without these tech gadgets in front of them. And the dangers are very, very real with this. The times have changed. Short Bus 12, welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. Short Bus said times have changed. Absolutely, they have. And I'll tell you something, parents, we know a parent they got an 11-year-old girl, and she used to have no phone, no devices. But her brothers have phones, right? They have iPads, they have video game systems. And so they finally got her a phone, and it was immediate. Now, they did limit her time on that phone. She could have 3 hours a day or something. But it was like she always wanted to be staring at that thing, And then for Christmas, turned around, they went and got her a Switch. A Nintendo Switch, which, by the way, you have to put parental controls on a Nintendo Switch because kids can access the internet from the Switch. Just side note there. But now it's like whenever you see her, she's playing hours and hours and hours playing on this Nintendo Switch. And it's like this girl used to want to go outside, play, draw. She still does some of that stuff. But you can see how she's slowly getting addicted to the devices. But you know what the family says? Hey, it's a lot easier to take care of her because she's occupied. Text sitting. It's called text sitting, and it's wrong. Parents can't look for an easy way out by putting a screen in front of their child. Yeah, it keeps them quiet, keeps them in one little place, but you're teaching them addiction. You're opening them up to predators. You're neglecting their emotional needs by not spending time with them. This is a huge problem. And kids that don't have these emotional connections with their parents, guess what they do? They go looking for that emotional connection in other adults. And predators will seize on that. PDF files will seize on that. They know when a child's hungry for attention. They know when a child's not getting the proper attention from a mom or a dad. So on one side, these kids want to dive into these games and play them all the time, but at the same time, it makes them very lonely and very depressed and very isolated. And that's where the predators come in and say, hey, I'll be your friend. I'll be your friend. It's absolutely dangerous. Hey, Tim, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Yeah, he said we lived outside. Man, we did. Man, we had so much fun out there. Yeah, we almost killed ourselves building bike ramps and skateboard ramps. And yeah, we got some bumps and bruises, but you know what? It was fun. We were living life. But now, put a screen in front of them. That's all you do. Tracy in the chat said, I think it's going to damage their brain in the long run. And these new interactive games with the 3D viewing glasses is really scary. Oh, yeah. Now, look, I'm a big fan of VR. I mean, I have an Oculus Quest, but no, absolutely right. These kids, you put virtual reality in front of them, and it's like going to 10 levels deeper than what they were looking at on their screen, on their regular iPhone or their Android, right? And now they're really hooked. And now they're playing with all sorts of strangers, playing all sorts of crazy games without being monitored. It is absolutely out of control. I want to play this one more time. Just look at how these kids react, and then we're going to move on. This is just crazy. Check this out.
Have you ever seen a child react like this? After a phone or tablet was taken away from them.
What? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
I dare you to touch my iPad.
Oh, not right now. Mama, I'll bring the iPad back later, okay?
He's just always in his own world. He really quiet for real, unless he know you.
Kids who were born at the same time as the iPad in 2010. Kids who at 8 years old already had their first phone. And they're the only humans in the history of the world to have grown up with a gadget as a babysitter.
Mama, I'll bring it back, okay?
I mean, some of these kids haven't even experienced what it's like to get dirty and play outside with neighbors. They literally cannot comprehend a life without social media.
Man, that is wild. But there's a little breakdown that happens. Like, studies have shown that these kids that are playing these games and look at these screens at a young age, they're like it's releasing all sorts of dopamine, like dopamine and all sorts of stuff. Their levels are increasing in their brain, and they're like, it's like an adrenaline rush for them. Like, you see, they showed the one boy sitting in the car and he's just doing this. Like, he's just doing this. Like, he's imitating scrolling. Like, the device is even in front of them, but it's like so ingrained in their brain. And it just goes to show as a warning. Like, you can't have devices babysitting your kids. It's damaging their brain. It's making them lazy, isolated, depressed, and alone. And when you take it away, they're going to react like those kids react, because their brain goes into like shock. It doesn't know what to do because it doesn't have that stimulation anymore. Man, I'll tell you what. Lexington, thanks for being here in the show, joining us in the chat and live. But anyway, that's the warning. The dark side of social media. Now, the other side of social media and these devices, as we mentioned, is predators, PDF files. Okay. Parents, if you are not monitoring what your kids are doing online, then you are serving them up as prey to the predator. Okay. And I mean, you need to be monitoring who they're talking with, who they're playing with, who they're chatting with, because crazy stuff is happening. And we know that Roblox is involved in a lawsuit right now, actually 2 of them. Snapchat is in the process of fighting 2 lawsuits. These social media companies, and they got lawyers and tons of money. So they're just dragging these cases on for years. But there is no protections for these kids outside of the parents. Right? And that's something else we see with these predator teachers, which we're going to talk about the one on the screen here coming up in a little bit, who decided to RAPED a 12-year-old over and over and over again in her home, and she got pregnant with his child. And there's possibly 21 more victims, police say, from this one teacher. That is some sick, twisted, evil stuff. But one thing we see with these teachers is, how are they getting to know these kids? Social media. And they talk to these kids for months and months and months, and nobody knows because no one's checking. No one's paying attention. And yeah, we blame the parents for that. There is absolutely no excuse to not be monitoring what your kids are doing online. I don't care if they're playing Roblox, Minecraft, or freaking Mario Brothers, which they actually have online now. But it doesn't matter. You have to be monitoring who they're playing with, who they're talking to, and what they're doing. But again, text sitting, as long as they're in there playing their game, then we know they're out of trouble. No, they're not. They're not out of trouble because they're sitting there playing a video game. No, they're in front of a whole bunch of other kind of troubles. Man. So how about this 12-year-old who sends her address to a freaking guy on Roblox? And they set up for him to come over to the house. How about this? Absolutely unbelievable.
You say you was looking for?
For Roll 312. Send me the address off Roblox.
So which one of y'all name is Roll 312 on Roblox?
Not me.
Why are you sending this grown man our address? He your friend. How old are you?
38.
38?
Yeah.
Do you know how old she is?
No, I know that's Roll 312.
This little girl is only 12 years old.
I just came to play.
You think you finna come in my house and play with my 12-year-old?
No, bro. Said we can do Minecraft and stuff.
You're not doing that here. You're not doing that here. I will call the police on you. Don't play with me. The next time. What? Girl, you better stop playing with me. Go, bye. Go call your dad. Go call your dad. Bye. Get your ass away from my house. I'm not finna play with nobody. I'm not finna play with no. What you doing? No, close my door. Close my door. What?
Invited me.
Who invited you? I didn't invite you to the.
Invited me.
You say you was looking.
I'm dumbfounded. Can you believe it? And the first thing that you notice about this guy? Well, not only that he's a complete stranger, he's got his fly open. Did anybody notice that? His freaking zipper's all the way down. And he's coming to the house to meet with this 12-year-old girl who she said to her mom that this guy was her friend. And he was coming to hang out, play Minecraft and stuff with her, he says. Now, good for that mom. She's like, you better get the hell out of here. And I'll tell you, you can see part of our comment that we made. If that guy showed up at my house, he wouldn't be walking away. I'm just telling you that right now. That's absolutely crazy. Shelly says he'd be hurt if he showed up around here. Absolutely. But again, this is what happens. You got these little kids, they're playing Roblox, and they're talking to complete strangers, and they're getting to know these complete strangers. Mom and dad aren't paying attention to who they're talking to and what they're doing. And the next thing you know, a 38-year-old freaking guy shows up at your house wanting to play with your 12-year-old daughter. I mean, what the heck are you doing, parents? Let's look at this one more time. Watch this. Notice how the guy's fly is down. And that tells you something. This is sick. This is a sick, evil PDF file. Thought he was going to come hang out with a 12-year-old girl.
You say you was looking for?
For Roll 312. Send me the address of Roblox.
So which one of y'all name is Roll 312 on Roblox? Not me. Why are you sending this grown man our address? He your friend. How old are you?
38.
38?
Yeah.
Do you know how old she is?
No, I didn't know that's Roll 312.
This little girl is only 12 years old.
I just came to play.
You think you finna come in my house and play with my 12-year-old?
No, bro. Said we can do Minecraft and stuff.
You're not doing that here. You're not doing that here. I will call the police on you. Don't play with me. The next time. What? Girl, you better stop playing with me. Go, bye. Go call your dad. Go call your dad. Bye. Get your ass away from my house. I'm not finna play with nobody. I'm not finna play with no. What you doing? Like no, close my door. Close my door. What?
Invited me.
Who invited you? I didn't invite. I didn't invite you to the.
Invited me.
You say you was looking.
Man, is that some scary stuff? Goes to show you. You want the tech sitters? You got your tech sitters, and you also got the Preds that are also taking care of your children while they're being tech sitted by their devices. Yeah, Sanyu said the fact that he wouldn't shut the door when he said is super disturbing. Like, that's crazy. And then the little girl, you can see, he's my friend. And we can't hear what she said to the mom after that. But the mom was like, you better stop playing with me. You better go call your dad. It's almost like the daughter was going, why can't you just come in and play? Like, what? Like, what? Why can't he come in and play? What are you talking about? Now, there's some people that say that he didn't know the girl was 12. You know, that he was playing with someone on Roblox, and they said, hey, why don't you come over, we'll play together. And he doesn't know she was 12. Oh, crap. You know you're playing with a kid. 90% of the people on Roblox are kids. Come on, man. This guy's a sick freaking predator. And yeah, Anna, welcome to the show. She said he kept trying to bully his way in. Yeah, this guy thought he was just going to come in the house. Man, he would have. Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave it there because I'll tell you something. Unbelievable. But this is what happens when the kids aren't being monitored. Man, I'll tell you what. It's absolutely crazy. That could have been dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. He didn't say, oh, never mind, and walk away. Yeah, exactly. He didn't. He was going to keep trying to just come in the house and play with this girl. Like, are you nuts? Man. It's unbelievable. Speaking of that, let me share this with you real quick, and we're going to get into our main story here in a few minutes. We had a passionate protector send this to us. And this is a quick blog article. I'm going to skip through it real quick, but it talks about how to keep kids safe on YouTube, right? And of course, this is going to go for other items as well. But it's really misleading because parents think that YouTube's got restricted mode, which they do, and they've got YouTube Kids, and they think that just because they have that everything is going to be fine. That, you know, the kids will be safe. They won't see anything they're not supposed to. They won't be able to talk to anybody that they're not supposed to. But that's not exactly the case. All right. Now, this comes from a website, safetydetectives.com, safetydetectives.com. And it's a parent's guide for YouTube and internet streaming. And it just goes on to talk about, and I encourage you to check this out. In fact, I'll drop the link in the chat. I think you all can click on that. Let me just drop this in the chat. I think you can. Let's see if we can do that. Hopefully you can click on that. Not now, obviously, but after after the show or something. But it says several billion YouTube videos, which is 500 plus hours of video, are uploaded every minute. 2 billion users log into YouTube every month. So how do we filter out all the violent, sexual, manipulative, hateful, and otherwise unsuitable content that our kids find on YouTube, frequently by accident? So YouTube has restricted mode and a YouTube Kids app, which are both meant to filter out adult content, but dozens of reports have been published showing the staggering amount of vulgar, violent, and disturbing content that YouTube's automated filters fail to catch. All right. So, and that's the question is, are YouTube's restrictions good enough? Well, apparently not. Now, restricted mode is better suited for preteens and teens, whereas YouTube Kids is tailored for preschool and early elementary age kids. And by the way, YouTube Kids, you'd be surprised what it allows. I'm just saying, when it comes to sexual content, innuendo, LGBT, like all that stuff, it's all still in there with YouTube Kids. All right, we know this. So it's supposed to filter out all the stuff. You can activate restricted mode, and it goes on to talk about that. Now, this is the type of content that is supposed to be blocked in YouTube. Okay, restricted mode. Drug and alcohol use and discussion, explicit sexual content, graphic violence, discussion of depictions of terrorism, profane and mature language, demeaning content, so on and so forth. But this blog goes on to talk about, unfortunately, YouTube's automatic filters don't work very well. This person said, I was able to easily discover videos featuring every single one of the supposedly blocked categories after just a few minutes of browsing YouTube with restricted mode turned on. And he says it's not completely worthless, but it's certainly not catching half the stuff that you think it might be. So if you're letting your kids just hang out on YouTube for hours and you're comfortable with YouTube Kids or restricted mode protecting them from seeing what they shouldn't, well, guess what? It's not working as well as you think it is. Okay. YouTube Kids is a separate app platform which filters content on YouTube and brings it to children. Parents can choose between YouTube Kids for under 4 and then 48 years old and 8 to 12-year-olds. YouTube is frustratingly vague about what its standards are for filtering this content. Goes on to say our algorithm is not the same as your judgment and it may not catch this and catch that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's why the article goes on to warn you. Basically, the best thing you can do is monitor what your kids are looking at. And I brought you this article to remind you that you can't just rely on these safety things. You can't. Tracy, great point. She said there is no substitute for engaged parents, period. Thank you. Tracy in the chat. Way to go. Listen, let's not rely on technology companies to protect your kids. If that's what we're waiting on, if that's what we're putting our money on, that, hey, you know what? No, they got restricted mode. It's all good. They got YouTube Kids. It's all fine. I have the, filter settings set to 12 years old, so they'll never see anything that's for anybody older than that. Stop. Parents, just stop. Be engaged. Monitor what your kids are doing. You can get them off the phones if you'd like. That would be a great idea, and get them outside playing, get them doing something creative. But if they must be on those phones, if they must be browsing the web, browsing the dark corners of the freaking internet, then you need to be watching what they're doing. That's just the bottom line. Now, remember the 4 steps of a PDF file of a sexual predator, okay? Right? Demoralize, desensitize, hypersexualize, and then attack. That's the plan. And the number one way that kids are being demoralized and desensitized and hypersexualized now is the internet. It's the social media apps. It's the music. It's the videos. Right? That's how it's happening. And PDF files are using these platforms and this freedom that kids have. And every kid's got a device in their hand now. They're using that to desensitize and demoralize and hypersexualize kids so that they are in positions to be abused. That's just what's happening. But you want to text it your kids, you go right ahead and do that. Right? But think about the warning. Think about the long-term effects that'll happen if you allow your kids to be text-sitted for days and days and days. at a time. Anna in the chat said, I tell my son you don't have to like me now, but you'll appreciate me later, though. Absolutely. Oh, God, we heard that. That's just so true. Parents, you might be the enemy for a while, but I'll tell you what, if you know you're doing the right thing, stay on course. Stick to your guns. Your kids will appreciate you later. Definitely. All right, on to this little boy who was literally like just kidnapped. I mean, crazy. Now they found the boy like a mile away. Thank you, Jesus. But look how fast this can happen. And I want you to pay close attention to what this little kid said, all right, about when the guy approached him. It's very, very concerning. But check this out. We'll be right back.
Surveillance video from a nearby home shows as he approaches the boy.
Came in and started playing with him. And then after that, he just, I guess, lured him in.
Police say the man promised to buy the 6-year-old a toy if he left with him, and video shows the man taking the child's hand. Thankfully, the boy's family began searching for him and were able to find him more than a mile away.
They found him on 24th Avenue, right there with the guy, with the kid, with my little cousin in hand. The older one came in, pushed him, punched him, just to get his brother back, put him in the car. After that, another gentleman that was out there heard the situation and then helped restrain the man so we could get him to the authorities.
Guy just came over me and said, do you want to come with me? And I said, sure.
Police say that man was Jose Reynaldo Martinez Reyes. The 56-year-old stood before a judge on Monday facing kidnapping charges.
Do you hear what the kid said? The guy comes up and says, hey, do you want to go with me? And the kid said that he said to him, sure. Now, that's juxtaposed to what we saw earlier, right? When the mom had taught the kids about tricky people and said, you never go with a stranger, no matter what they promise, no matter what they say. This little kid was like, sure, come on. And in the video, we're going to look at it again here, but in the video, it's hard to tell. Does it look like the kid's trying to get away and the guy's holding the kid's hand so he can't? Or does it look like the kid is kind of saying to the guy, come on, come this way, come hang out? It's hard to tell. Well, we know that they found them a mile away. So clearly it was the guy taking the kid, right? So don't let video be deceiving. But think about that. He said, sure. Like, okay, I'll come hang out with you. That's absolutely crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm.
Surveillance video from a nearby home shows as he approaches the boy.
Came in and started playing with him. And then after that, he just, I guess, lured him in.
Police say the man promised to buy the 6-year-old a toy if he left with him, and video shows the man taking the child's hand. Thankfully, the boy's family began searching for him and were able to find him more than a mile away.
They found him on 24th Avenue, right there with the guy, with the kid, with my little cousin in hand. The older one came in, pushed him, punched him, just to get his brother back, put him in the car. After that, another gentleman that was out there heard the situation and then helped restrain the man so we could get him to the authorities.
Guy just came over me and said, do you want to come with me? And I said, sure.
Police say that man was Jose Reynaldo Martinez Reyes. The 56-year-old stood before a judge on Monday facing kidnapping charges.
Sure, I'll go with you. Man. Tracy said, man, this kid is unprepared to be playing unsupervised. Yikes. Exactly correct. That's some scary stuff. But, I mean, who didn't teach this kid? Right? I mean, and who wasn't watching him, for crying out loud? Again, parents' responsibility, guardians' responsibility to talk to these kids and make sure you tell them that they never, ever go with anybody, no matter what. And this little kid, hey, you want to buy me a toy? Sure, let's go. What? That's crazy. All right, let's get to this here. And then we'll get to our final story with this whack nut teacher. Oh, man, this dad goes off on the school board. Now, before I play this, I want to make something clear, because we're going to get the hateful comments. We've already got, you'd be surprised what we have to block. You know, it's incredible. But this is not anything against LGBT. Okay, this what we're about to show you. This is about the fact that they're trying to allow guys to go into little girls' bathrooms. Okay, that a guy can just say he's a girl, or a boy can just say he's a girl, and then go in there and be around the little girls that are using the bathroom. And that's a problem. Okay, you think you're a boy, you think you're a girl. That's whatever's in your head. That's between you and your parents. Okay, but don't be putting other little girls at risk by allowing boys to go into the bathroom with them. Okay, and hang out in there with them. This is absolutely insane and crazy. You combine that with the pornography that's in the school libraries, the amount of predator teachers. Do you see it all coming together here? Right? Try to erase the genders, put boys and girls in situations together where they shouldn't be. Have pornography show up in the school libraries. Have predator teachers in the school systems, which is ridiculous. 120 so far this school year. 90% of them, by the way, are females. Clearly an epidemic going on here. You put all this together, man, and these kids are in for a world of trouble. But the encouraging news is that education and awareness can make a difference. Protect Your Children, Inc., that's what our mission is, right? To educate and raise awareness, just like so many of you great people out there. You've got to educate these kids and make them aware of what's going on. And the schools have a responsibility to do the same, which clearly they're not doing. But let's listen to this dad as he goes off on the school board. And it's not like he yells and screams at them, you know, but he's very, very good with his words. And listen to what he says, and we'll be right back after this. Oh, hold on. We didn't play. Let me try to share this. All right, here we go. Right here. Let's do it.
Good evening to the most famous school board in America. I was happy to help expose you guys and your actions. There is lots of good teachers in our town. They aren't well represented by you guys. The level to which you have gone to ignore the actions you have taken is astounding to me. You forced boys into my daughter's bathroom and then advocate to vote for the very lady who forced that to happen. So you obviously have not reversed your position on that. You still think that boys should follow my daughter in a bathroom. Does anybody up there have a daughter? Would it be okay if I followed her into a bathroom? Anybody okay with that? There's pornographic books in our libraries and drag queen teachers, and you guys are in charge of it. And I'm not going to stop until each and every one of you is removed. You have shown that you're not going to change course. And I'm not going to stop. And I would encourage you to step down now. Clearly, you are defending defenseless positions. Putting a boy in my daughter's bathroom is crazy. And thinking that a boy can be a girl simply for saying it is also crazy. We fought you guys to get it and got a state law passed. And clearly, because that's what is the right thing to do. And it took a law to stop you guys from doing that. There's lots of good going on, but Hitler built schools. What is actually happening cannot be ignored, and I'm not going to let it be ignored. The school counselors that I grew up with are gone. Mr. Gordon sent me an email today. He will not tell me if our school counselors are ASCA certified. ASCA, their 2021 position statement. It is an expectation, not the exception, for school counselors to integrate multiculturalism and social justice into their work as advocates and leaders. These counselors are not here to help our children anymore. They're here to indoctrinate them. And stand by.
Man. I mean, very well said. And again, this isn't anything against the LGBT community, okay? We've made that clear. A lot of kids that are abused in that community as well as outside the community. You know, we're here to help all kids, okay? We want to protect all kids no matter what situation they find themselves in. But the guy makes a great point. You know, you can have some boy or some guy just say he's a girl when he doesn't really feel that way. He just says that he is so he can get access to young girls. That there's no way that should be allowed. This is absolutely crazy, okay? And these drag queen teachers, come on, man. What are we doing here? And he made a great point. What happened to schools teaching the basics? That's what they're supposed to be teaching, right? They're educating academics, okay? Not social policy, not gender. They're not there to help your kids figure out what gender they are. I mean, what the heck is going on? And again, you look at all these things together. You got pornographic materials in the school libraries. You've got counselors that are like trying to tell these kids what gender they are or confuse them about what gender they are. And I know he used the H word, the Hitler word, but the point he was making is that you want to indoctrinate kids, you do it through the school system. And our concern is about the hypersexualization of these kids and putting things into these kids' minds and ideas in their heads that they do not need to know about, not at the ages that they are. And if they are to know about it, they know about it from their parents, not from the school system where their parents are not there. That's just the bottom line. And we need more parents like that to step up and speak out. And he was not crazy. He wasn't threatening. He was detailed, very well, presented. And he told them the way it was. And now tons of people have seen it. And we need more parents to be doing that. It's absolutely crazy. Wow. I'm telling you, check out the chat. Yeah, Sanyu says in the chat, it's a very controversial topic these days, but more parents need to stick up for bathroom safety like this dad. Absolutely. Absolutely right. I mean, it's just crazy, like what's happening right now. It's almost like we're in the Twilight Zone, I mean, did you ever envision a day? I mean, think about it when you're going to school. Did you ever envision your teachers being predators or pornographic materials in the school libraries? Or did you ever envision a boy walking into the girls' bathroom unless it was on a dare, right? We we played games like that. Yeah, I dare you to walk into the girls' bathroom, run out real quick. And they would do it, as a prank. But to legit think that they should belong in there? Do you ever imagine this happening? Like, what is going on in our culture and society where all this is taking place? I mean, we are going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. And our kids are right at the center of it. And the kids are the future. Man. By the way, they mentioned about, the guy mentioned about the teachers not being ASCA certified, which is, are they members of the American School Counselor Association? American School Counselor Association, ASCA. Interesting that they wouldn't answer them. Are these counselors certified through the American Schools? Well, we can't answer that question. Why not? Well, it's not important. Yeah, it's important because then they got to be held to a code of ethics and standards and be certified. And they wouldn't even tell his dad if the counselors at that school are certified. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? All right, on to our main story tonight. This is absolutely insane. We're going to be looking at this. We'll be done in about 15 minutes. Thank you all for staying with us. If anybody joins late, you can always catch the podcast, which is available about 15 minutes after the show is over. You'll see the rebroadcast available on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and we encourage you to check that out. And we want to thank the people listening to the podcast ahead of time, because a lot of you all do listen on the podcast, and you're not forgotten about. We love you. We love you too. So thank you for listening, and please do leave comments. We still read them after the fact, so please do that. And I want to thank everybody out there for sharing. The last few weeks, the amount of views that we're getting on the live show is increased dramatically, and I think that's because of word of mouth and Bryden and his gang, and also people just sharing and getting this information out there. So we're getting more exposure, and we're very thankful for that, because it means more kids are going to be safe, and we're very thankful for that. So let's jump into this. Alyssa McCommon, psycho. That's what we'll call her, psycho teacher. Man. And this is going to come to us, of course, through Law and Crime Sidebar. We're very thankful for them. We always give credit to them. They do a lot of great work, and we use their material. We've never once received a copyright, so we're very thankful for that from Law and Crime Sidebar. So let's jump in and take a look at this crazy story. We'll be interrupting for commentary, but just pay close attention, because there are so many warning signs. And I want to say that that's why we keep sharing this stuff. Everybody's saying, oh, you're always sharing this, the negative stuff and all that. Well, you know why we share it? Because wrapped within this stuff are all the warning signs and the flags that should have been seen, that could have prevented this from happening in the first place. And we're sharing this because we want parents to realize that, wait a minute, maybe my kid's not as safe as I thought they are. Right? And that's the whole point about raising awareness to how bad it is out there. This epidemic of PDF files, these predators going after our kids. And it's time to wake up and see just how bad it is, and not bury your head in the sand. Let's check this out.
Guilty, and so found you guilty.
A former Tennessee teacher will spend more than 2 decades behind bars after admitting to multiple sex crimes involving one of her students, including one shocking case where she became pregnant by one of her victims. We're going to break down the horrific details of this case now that it's finally reached its end. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner, in for Jesse Weber. It's a case that stunned a small town in Tennessee. Alyssa McCommon, a 39-year-old former elementary school teacher from Covington, Tennessee, was sentenced to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. This comes after she pleaded guilty to several charges involving child sexual abuse. McCommon was convicted of multiple counts of child rape, statutory rape, and sexual exploitation of minors. So let's start at the beginning. The case against McCommon unfolded in August of last year, when the mother of a 12-year-old boy came forward to report McCommon had sexually assaulted her son inside McCommon's own home. This victim, who had been one of McCommon's students when she taught at Crestview Elementary School back in 2021, reported that she had invited him over to her house for a sleepover. During that sleepover, he said she woke up in the middle of the night and sexually assaulted him. McCommon's teaching career began to unravel when that allegation was officially brought to light on August 24th of 2023. That same day, the school took immediate action against McCommon, and the Tipton County Director of Schools released a statement saying, quote, "A parent brought forth allegations of misconduct on the morning of August 24th, and the teacher was suspended without pay the same morning pending the outcome of the investigation," end quote. McCommon was suspended from her position at Covington Charter Academy School. She had previously worked as a 5th grade teacher at Crestview Elementary School before switching to teach fourth grade English/language arts at Charter Academy. McCommon was then arrested on September 8th and charged with 1 count of raping a child. But police soon discovered this wasn't an isolated incident. The investigation by the Covington Police Department revealed that McCommon had targeted multiple students, many of which she had initially befriended through playing video games online, but this digital connection turned dark pretty quickly. Covington police addressed the allegations in a statement saying, quote, multiple juvenile victims have come forth stating that they were befriended by their former teacher, McCommon, who began playing video games with them and then further engaged with them through mobile phone social media apps, which led to her allegedly sending inappropriate photographs and requesting sexual relations with the victims.
All right. Holy mackerel. Tracy said, no way my kid is sleeping over at a teacher's house. Yeah, first thing, why in the world was this 12-year-old allowed to sleep over at this teacher's house? Now, I didn't find anything about this teacher having other kids, but even so, like, why in the world did you let your child sleep over at this teacher's house? Now, as we stated at the beginning of this, we had to look it up because I'm sitting there thinking, can a 12-year-old actually produce enough sperm to get somebody pregnant? Like, that's really young. And apparently it can happen in rare cases, but it takes a period of time for that to happen, right? And also, as women only are able to get pregnant, like I think there's 3 times out of the month, you women out there would know better than I would. But the indications are that this had to be ongoing for quite a while in order for that child to produce what he produced and this woman to be ovulating at the time. So this had to be going on for some period of time. And I'm thinking, like, again, this is where parents are allowing their kids to associate with teachers outside of school, and they think just because they're a teacher, they're safe. This teacher's a very nice person. She'd never do anything like that. Well, time to wake up and realize that's not the case. There is no reason why your child should be communicating or spending time with a teacher outside of school. Period. End of story. And parents that are letting their kids do so, well, you bear some responsibility in this.
Investigators say she groomed and manipulated the victims, engaging with them on social media platforms like Snapchat, where she sent sexually explicit images and coerced them into sexual encounters. According to police, these interactions took place outside of school, and there was no evidence linking her disturbing actions to any school campus. Now, even with this information coming out, McCommon's lawyers maintained her innocence, telling a local news outlet, WREG, "We believe that it's a borderline witch hunt on social media, and that's frustrating to us." McCommon was arrested on September 8th on charges of rape of a child. McCommon was booked into the Tipton County Jail following her arrest, and she was able to post a $25,000 bond. But her release had one specific condition. She was not to have any contact with the victim or any minors other than her own children. While McCommon was suspended, she eventually resigned from her teaching position on September 14th. But there's so much more to this story that happened after her arrest and resignation. McCommon couldn't follow the rules of her release, and after just 2 weeks of being out, she was rearrested, this time for stalking one of the children. Authorities discovered she had contacted one of the victims on September 16th using an unknown phone number, and police revealed in a statement the disturbing nature of those messages, saying, quote, "The evidence indicates McCommon texted a victim using a specific code word known to the juvenile as a code word McCommon would previously utilize to confirm that the juvenile was alone, often before sending nude photographs on Snapchat." After using the code word on September 28th of 2023, the evidence indicates McCommon sent multiple text messages to the victim indicating he would regret doing this. McCommon, using the same number, also admitted to a sexual encounter with the victim.
Well, that's something else to know. So this teacher clearly knew she was doing something wrong, and she had set up a code word. Now, earlier we were talking about having code words for your kids, right? So that they know if somebody tries to come pick them up and they don't know the code word that you as a parent set up with them, then they are not to go with anybody. anybody, right? That's a good idea. But how interesting that this predator teacher set up a code word to use with the student to confirm that the child was alone. That's crafty. That is some crafty stuff going on right there. Unbelievable. It's ridiculous. But that's an interesting point. And then, of course, she's grooming them with the video games, right? And we see this. Like, these teachers are like 20, 25, 30 years old, and they engage in child things, child activities like these video games and social media to connect with the child in that way. And predators will often do that. You know, they'll take an interest in doing something that the kid likes in order just to share that with them, to get closer to them, to build some kind of a trust with them so they can groom them further, right? And we're seeing with all these teachers, not only is social media part of the situation, but look at Snapchat. Again, Snapchat comes up in almost every single one of these situations. Parents, again, why in the world do your kids have to have Snapchat? You want them to have an app that enables messages and videos and images to disappear after they've been looked at? Or after 24 hours? That's what you want them to have? So you have zero control over what the heck is going on? And these teachers know that. Now, of course, what they don't realize is that the police can still get the snaps. They're held for 7 years by law. And as with the police done, they went back and they got the records, and there you go. But they're always using Snapchat to groom these kids. Why the heck are kids on Snapchat to begin with? It's a good question. Well, we know a lot of parents are on Snapchat. Oh, but it's got cute little ear filters and all these cool little things. But it also has a feature where, you know, everything that your kid reads or sends can delete after it's viewed or after 24 hours. So you, mom and dad, don't have any idea what they're doing. Is that worth the bunny ears? Is that worth the cool filters? Is that why they're on Snapchat? So they can make funny looking pictures?
On September 28th, she headed right back to jail on new criminal charges of coercion of a witness, aggravated stalking and harassment, and was booked back into the Tipton County Jail, this time without bond. But if you thought the bond violation and threatening language was bad, you couldn't possibly imagine where this case is headed next. The most disturbing revelation in this case came in court when prosecutors presented a phone call that was recorded between McCommon and one of her victims, where McCommon said she was pregnant with her victim's child. Now let's take a listen to that call that was played in court.
Just forget we ever talked, okay? I'll raise this baby and I love this baby and I'll do it by myself. I'm gonna raise this baby. I can do this. I tried to tell you when it comes out like you. We don't have to talk anymore. Just please God tell me you're not gonna say anything. I'll never speak to you again.
So this bombshell evidence indicated pretty clear.
I mean, listen to how she's talking. I mean, she's talking to this 12-year-old like he's an adult. I mean, there is something really going on here. I mean, are these teachers looking at 12 and 13-year-olds as like adults here? Like, I mean, the way she's talking to him, there is something really twisted going on. And it's an epidemic because it's happening a whole lot more now with these female teachers.
Clearly that McCommon had not only had sexually assaulted the victim, but also tried to manipulate him into silence after the abuse had occurred. But her defense, however, didn't see this as damning proof and instead questioned the validity of the call, saying, you have to go off what is the actual proof? There was no witness that was presented as a victim or anyone like that to testify this was her. However, DNA testing showed that McCommon was indeed pregnant with a child of one of her victims. It's believed that McCommon may have victimized as many as 21 students between the ages of 12 years old to 17 years old. And in March, she was indicted on nearly 24 charges, which included rape of a child, 5 counts of aggravated statutory rape, 4 counts of sexual exploitation by electronic means, 4 counts of solicitation of a minor to commit aggravated statutory rape, 2 counts of statutory rape by an authority figure, 2 counts of coercion of a witness, 2 counts of aggravated stalking, violation of the Child Protective Act, tampering with evidence, harassment. The 23 charges are related to 5 victims, and 13 of the charges are concerning 1 victim alone. Initially, McCommon's trial was supposed to be split in 2. She was going to be tried for just the case focusing on the student she had a child with, and the other trial was going to be focusing on the multiple victims. But that won't happen now, because on December 20th, McCommon decided to enter a guilty plea to charges of rape of a child, statutory rape by an authority figure, aggravated statutory rape, sexual exploitation of a minor by electronic means, and solicitation of a minor, aggravated statutory rape.
Understands the consequences of entering these pleas, has entered into them freely, voluntarily, and intelligently, and if there are sufficient facts to support the pleas, the court therefore accepts your plea of guilty and so finds you guilty.
In taking this deal, prosecutors agreed to drop the other charges against her. McCommon was sentenced to 25 years in prison for her crimes with no possibility of parole, and she is also required to register as a sex offender and have her teacher's license revoked. District Attorney Mark Davidson praised the investigative efforts of law enforcement and prosecutors following the conviction, saying, quote, "These convictions and sentence demonstrate the continuing commitment of law enforcement and the district attorney's office to aggressively investigate and prosecute child rape and sexual abuse cases." McCommon was also ordered not to have any contact with the victims, and this includes the infant child now being raised by the family of her 12-year-old victim. As for the victims and their families, the sentence brings some measure of justice. In a statement during McCommon's sentencing, the mother of one of the victims said, quote, "You used our friendship to hurt me and the people I love in this world, took innocence from my son before puberty, took what was supposed to be a great experience and tainted it. There's no amount of time they can give you that will equal what God will give you. You will burn in hell." Let's break this down with criminal.
It's an interesting statement that was made when she said that you stole my child's innocence before puberty. Is anybody confused here? I mean, from what I understand, a child can't produce sperm until they've hit puberty. So, but this just, that's neither here or there. But I like it though. She's pissed off and she should be. And she made a great point. This lady's going to get punished here, and PDF files are going to get punished in the afterlife. That's just the bottom line here. And it's like, again, this is coming from the parent or from the family, but at the same time, you let your child hang out with this woman. And you didn't think there was going to be any issue. You didn't think there was going to be any problem. You just blindly trusted that she's a teacher and that she would never do anything to hurt the child. Can we wake up now? Can we wake up and start realizing that those days are gone? Let me propose a question to the chat. Everybody that's out there. Do you recall at any time when you were in school, anytime when you were in school, did they ever warn you guys about predators? Did a group ever come in, or the police ever come in and tell kids about good touch, bad touch, about predators, stranger danger, all that stuff? Was that taught in the schools back in the day? Because we had it. I remember we had a whole seminar on stranger danger. Right? There's some fallacies with stranger danger, by the way. We did a show on that a while back because it doesn't really address the issue that 90% of offenders are known to the victim. So, 10% of the cases, it's a stranger, right? So, but did anybody ever have that? Lexington in the chat said once. But we've talked to kids, many, many kids, including Jay, who was on the show last week. And the episode prior to that, when he was on, he said they've never come to his school. And he's in a middle school down here in Tampa, and nobody's ever come in and talked to these kids, try to warn them. And that's just the reality of it. Like, if these schools are so concerned about the safety of children, like they always say, the safety of children is of utmost importance to us. Well, why not have an organization like Protect Your Children, Inc. or other great organizations go into the schools annually? This is what we're calling for. Annually come into the schools, beginning school year, get all the kids and the teachers together for a conference in the gymnasium or whatever, in the auditorium, like they do, and have them teach these kids that it's wrong and that it's dangerous. Why won't the schools have people come in and do that? Good question. We're calling for the schools to have teachers undergo psychosexual exams. If you think doing a background check is going to be enough, then you're crazy. Over 85% of sexual predators have yet to be arrested. So what good is a background check going to do? I mean, you can do it because you might get that one off where they have been arrested before. But if some sexual predator has been arrested for a sex crime, I don't think they're going to apply at a school. Okay? No, who's applying at the school is the ones with this desire to harm these kids, and they don't have any criminal record. So you can't just do a background check and that's enough. They have to have psychological exams and see what's going on with these people before they put them in situations of authority over these children. Tracy in the chat said they talked about stranger danger, good touch, bad touch. Don't go with adults you don't know. Have a family safety word code and gun safety. All right. Man. Bryden said, conjunction, junction, what's your function? Oh, gosh, I'll tell you. Remember that. Oh, and Mr. Bill on Capitol Hill. God, remember those days when it was innocent and you were just learning? And now we've got predator teachers, and it's crazy. All right, let's go.
Defense attorney and former prosecutor Safa Robinson Ferrer. Safa, it's always great to see you. You know, those were some pretty harsh words, but given the circumstances, you can't really help but empathize. But what do you make of this case overall, especially as police say there could be as many as 21 student victims who are ranging from the ages of 12 years old to 17 years old over the years?
Absolutely. Those were harsh words, but they were certainly well deserved. You know, this case is a tragedy. This case is a case where the justice system has failed to protect victims. The educational system has also failed in protecting their students as well. You know, a lot of times these cases, they don't come out of nowhere. There are usually signs and things that occur before they get too far. So I believe there were a number of victims, or there were a number of alleged victims in this case, ranging from the ages of 12 to 17. I think the disclosure happened with a former student, so not a current student of the defendant in this case. We know that the first disclosure came from a former student, so that tells me that this has been a pattern of behavior that has gone on for quite a bit of time with this particular teacher. And it's only come to light, however, or it seems to have come to light now that this 12-year-old has fathered a child from her. So there are usually, with sexual abuse and things of that nature, there are usually signs, and a lot of times, and it's very unfortunate, that people dismiss because of the relationship with the defendant. But we have to be mindful and be aware that there are signs that take place, specifically in the educational system. Teachers are mandated reporters. If there are conversations or communications, or if a teacher is paying a bit more attention to one student than the others, we have to always ask why. And we always have to be aware of where these things are coming from, and, you know, all those sorts of things.
You mentioned something in your answer about a pattern, and we cover a lot of these types of cases here at Law and Crime. And one pattern that always stands out is this treasure trove of digital evidence. Many defendants don't think they'll be caught because they use social media apps like Snapchat, which deletes messages after 24 hours. But what are your thoughts on these teachers who use social media, which helps them continue to commit these types of abuses and these types of crimes?
These social media apps are always going to be an individual's downfall. People think that when they use social media or they use FaceTime as opposed to a regular telephone call, that those things don't store evidence, but in fact they do. Whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, those records that are created, those pieces of digital evidence that you have created will not go away. They are stored. All it's going to take is the district attorney's office or whatever prosecuting agency to issue a subpoena to Facebook for those records, or Instagram or Snapchat, and those records are kept and preserved in accordance with law by those agencies. So even though your Snapchat is gone in 24 hours, I will guarantee you and promise you that that video still exists and is being held for law enforcement pending any future litigation if it ever were to come up.
Okay, can we clarify something here? Every time we hear about these stories, they always talk about Snapchat and the 24-hour deletion, okay? Why are they not telling parents the full story? This is kind of ticking me off here, okay? Look at this. Yes, you can set Snapchat messages to delete after you've read them. Okay? All they got to do is swipe right from the camera screen, press and hold a friend's name, tap more, tap delete chats, and then tap either after viewing or 24 hours after viewing. None of these reports mention the fact that these things can be deleted right after they are seen. It's not 24 hours. They need to stop misleading parents on this. I mean, this is ridiculous. Unbelievable. I mean, let's just tell the truth here, right?
And McCommon's attorney initially claimed her to be innocent, calling it a witch hunt. But you're a criminal defense attorney. What do you think of the about face they kind of did, from denial and innocence to just pleading guilty to these charges?
Sometimes as defense attorneys, we have to be aware of the image and the things that we're saying on our cases in the outset of these cases. Sometimes nothing needs to be said. Less is best. If there is a significant question in your mind as a defense attorney as to whether or not your client is innocent or guilty, and there's a question there, then you may want to err on the side of caution and keep silent about the case. We don't have a statement to make at this time, because then what happens is it can damage your integrity as an individual who is representing defendants. It can damage the integrity of your case and other sorts of things. So you have to be mindful and aware of what you're putting out there, even as a defense attorney. In this case, I think that he or she, whoever the attorney was, would have been best to say nothing at all or no comment. And then in the event that she were to take a plea, which she did in this case, then you can make a statement.
It's kind of proving that silence is a lot better in this type of circumstance. And McCommon, while she was out on her bond, violated her bond by talking to one of the victims, seemingly threatening them. So not only is someone in their late 30s sexually abusing a young boy, but then goes as far as to try to silence them. What's your reaction, especially in terms of how that young boy could be feeling kind of going through all of this?
You know, I cannot imagine being a 12-year-old or the parent of a 12-year-old who is now fathering a child with a predator. You know, and what often happens in cases of sexual abuse is that these individuals who are committing these sorts of acts, more often than not, we find that they have been victimized at some point in their life. But they continue to perpetuate that cycle of behavior when dealing with other people and ultimately come to victimize children and others. What often happens with individuals in these cases is there is sometimes a subtle hint of narcissism, where these individuals, not only do they perpetuate the crimes that they perpetuate, but they also go into sort of a victim blaming type of mentality. Yeah. And when they do that, not only do they victim blame and say, oh, well, this child or this person came on to me first, this person was looking at me in a certain way, and that's why I acted in the manner that I did. But then they also go to threatening and tampering. And the fact that she threatened, or the allegation is that she threatened this child or one of these individuals, tells me that she had a wherewithal to know what she was doing was wrong. A part of the reason why we have orders of protections in cases like this, when they begin, is to prevent communication between the defendant and the victim. In this case, she committed a crime by violating that order of protection, which continues to go to show that she is now trying to clean up a mess that she made based off of bad conduct.
And overall, this case is pretty disturbing. And the most disturbing tidbit of this whole thing is that this woman, Alyssa McCommon, gave birth to one of her victim's children. Have you seen something like this ever happen before?
Unfortunately, I have seen things like this happen before. I've also
Yeah.
heard of things happen like this before. And as an individual who's been a former prosecutor and a current defense attorney, I can't wrap my mind around how this happens. You know, and we see these things all the time. We have special victims units and prosecutions. She's not the first sex offender that we've come to know and find, but to keep a child that is, you know, the offspring of a rape that you committed is mind-boggling to me. You know, out on top of actually committing such a heinous act towards a child. So it's very disturbing. These things do happen. They happen a lot more than you would think, but oftentimes they're not talked about until they end up in the media like this.
And Alyssa McCommon was sentenced to more than 2 decades in prison. What do you make of that sentence? And do you think it sends a message to other teacher predators?
You know, I think that is certainly a just sentence, as just as it could be considering the circumstances. You know, this child is going to be scarred for his life. This infant that was born as a result of this rape is going to at some point come to find out that his or her mother raped her father, and they are the product of that. So I don't think that there's enough justice to be able to rectify the mental scars and damage that these things have done. However, 25 years is adequate to sentence this individual to. I think that is fair. I think that is just.
All right, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Safa Robinson Ferrer, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Before we sign you off, though, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you for having me, and have a happy new year.
All right, Safa, again, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great New Year's as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Sidebar. Be sure to subscribe to us anywhere you listen to your podcast, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Elizabeth Milner in for Jesse Weber, and this has been Sidebar presented by Law and Crime.
Man. How long was this going on? The fact that it was a former student that initially brought this up. How long was this teacher abusing kids? Allegedly abusing other kids. This is just crazy. You know, and I'd like to think that the prison sentences would scare these PDF files into stopping, but it doesn't. We hear time after time after time on these cases of the jail sentences, and we know what happens to PDF files when they get into jail. We know what happens. Nothing scares these people. Nothing. You know, and it's like you have predator catchers online, and there's tons of them now, right? And they're constantly catching these guys and these women going after young kids. And so they start communicating with these kids, and it's like they don't think they're going to get caught. It's unbelievable to me. Nothing scares these people. That just goes to show you how dark this really is. Man. Anna Mayo in the chat says it doesn't because it's a demonic agenda. There might be something to that. We've talked about that before. There is definitely a spiritual and psychological issue going on here with this. I mean, what in your mind says to you at 30, I think she was 38 years old, 35 years old. What in your mind says to you that a little 12-year-old boy is a match for you? Like, what has to be going on in your brain to actually believe that? It's absolutely gone crazy. And that there may be up to 21 victims. How many lives are now ruined from this one person? And how long was she able to hurt kids? Because nobody was paying attention. And yeah, we're going back to that. Enough warnings are going out now. These stories are being covered a lot. but it's very niche, right? It's very niche. Like, you talk to the regular person who's not paying attention to stuff like this, and they have no idea that this even happens. And that's the problem. Those are the people that we're trying to reach. Okay, this is why we ask for your help with your donations and with your sharing, because we're trying to get this awareness out to people who are not paying attention, who don't think it's an issue. People like you, great people out there listening, you guys know there's a problem. That's why you're here. You're here because you're getting educated, you're getting more aware, you're getting fired up, and you're going to go out there and share this information. And that's going to help protect more kids. But again, we don't want to just preach to the choir here. We want to get people who aren't awake to see that there's a problem here, and get more people to stand up and say, hey, there is no communication with my kids' teachers and them outside of school at all, period. We want parents to check their kids' phones, check their game systems, check their messages, check their Snapchat. Get rid of their darn Snapchat. We want parents to realize that there's a huge problem here, and that their kids are prey. This is just unbelievable. We're about to wrap up here. Do want to remind you guys of the website, protectyourchildren.org. Protectyourchildren.org. Education and awareness. Tons of great resources. Absolutely free. Background checks. All sorts of great tools to help you protect your children. We ask that you visit the website, that you share the website with others. And as we do, we ask that you would help us and partner with us in getting this information out to others. And I know Christmas time, it's end of the year. Everybody and their mom has been asking for donations and for money. But I will tell you something, that protecting children is not just a Christmas gift thing, okay? It's not just a year-end gift, okay? Protecting kids is a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year job. And we are working every single day, and no one here takes a salary. We have all volunteers that are continually working to get information out, put these live shows together, research, find the information, put it on the website, manage all our social media pages. We pay for everything, for the internet, the cameras, the live stream. All that is covered by volunteers. So we ask if you can help and contribute anyway, please go to our website, protectyourchildren.org. Click on donate. It's 501c3, not for profit, tax deductible, and every single penny that you donate goes to getting the word out to wake people up so that more kids can be protected. It's the only time we'll ask for that, but we thank you for those who participated tonight and who are here every week. Bryden and his gang, Shelly, Anna, tons of others that are out there. We've got right now, there's about 13 on X. There's about 12 on YouTube, a whole host of people on Rumble. We're thankful for every single one of you. And God willing, we'll be back here next Saturday night, 8 p.m., I believe. If not, we'll let you know. But there is an event coming up in Tampa that we might be participating in, but we'll keep you updated on the show if it's going to happen next Saturday. But I want to thank you, everybody, for being here, for Bryden and his gang, Short Bus. Love that. Love that. Short Bus. Short Bus Syndrome. Woo! SBS, man. SBS, Short Bus. But everybody, y'all are great. We love you, and we thank you for being passionate protectors. Please partner with us in any way you can, whether that's financially, prayerfully, sharing the content. We're in an uphill battle. We really are. And we need to get the information out to people. We need to raise awareness, raise the alarm, ring the alarm bells, and get more people awake and involved. So we thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And ask everybody to just stay safe. Be nosy. Be nosy, right? Keep an eye on your kids' phones. Monitor who they're talking to. Monitor what they're doing online. For crying out loud, get rid of Snapchat if it's on their phones. Monitor what they're doing with any communication with teachers outside of school. Talk to them about their interactions with their teachers while they're in school. Have these conversations with your kids because it will save their life. So thank you, everybody, for being here. God bless you all. And until next week, stay safe and keep protecting. Thank you.